everyone. Thank you all for joining the reliability breakout session. I know we're a little bit behind, so we're going to try to keep things moving and be pretty efficient and get you to your next session and the reception. To start, my name is Lisa Liu. I own product marketing for the Reliability Suite. And today I'm joined by Patrick Seddon, who owns the product management team for the Reliability Suite. And today we also have the pleasure of having our industry solutions team on stage later today to share about the projects that they've worked on and really all the great industry domain expertise that they bring to our projects. And as you can see, there is actually a great group of product managers and product marketers who aren't able to join us today, but they're working really hard at C3 to make our product successful. Okay, so our agenda really quick today. Patrick is going to start with a suite overview for those of you who are newer to the Reliability Suite, and we're also going to demo some of our latest innovation. Then we'll end the suite with a roadmap of what's coming, some of which you already saw in the product update by Human and Binu. Then we'll have Keith and Stephen come up to the stage. We have a couple questions prepared for them, but we're also hoping for more questions from the audience. So we'll open it up and hopefully you can all chime in. And then we'll wrap up with some other housekeeping items. Great. So without further ado, let me welcome Patrick to the stage.
Thank you, Lisa. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for being here. It's been a really exciting day. I hope everyone's been enjoying the sessions so far. And we appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to join us for the last few sessions. Like Lisa said, we're going to go through the Reliability Suite. And we're going to focus on our flagship predictive maintenance application, C3 AI Reliability. The Reliability Suite consists of multiple different applications. And what these do is these enable large industrial companies to maximize the productivity and maximize the efficiency of their physical systems and their processes. So C3 AI Reliability, we have deployed this at global leaders in oil and gas, utilities, and many different types of manufacturing industries, whether that be pharmaceuticals, whether that be paper machines that you saw earlier today, in the Georgia Pacific and Coke testimonial video, which was really interesting. So we're really excited about the deployments and the learnings that we have from customers, and our industry solutions team will be able to tell us more about that later. In terms of process optimization and production optimization, these are applications that are leveraging underlying optimization techniques to drive operational performance, efficiencies in production, and what they do is they factor in key process variables and constraints to deliver things like set point recommendations to process engineers and operators. Okay, so if we dive a little bit deeper into our reliability application, what we're seeking to do is to provide customers with improved reliability for their physical systems and operations. And we're aiming to drive value in several different ways. First is reducing unplanned downtime. What we're doing with our anomaly detection techniques is providing more accurate alerts and more timely ability to assess your asset health risks. The corollary to that is increased uptime or increased asset availability. This increased uptime drives higher production, higher revenue for our customers, and the ability to achieve their goals. Additionally, with more accurate alerts, our customers are able to lower their maintenance costs and become more efficient. And less unplanned downtime contributes to that. So that means less emergency fixes, less costly maintenance. But on the flip side, they're avoiding over-maintaining their equipment as well. And finally, by driving up the health and reliability of their assets and reducing some of these emergency fixes, they're also able to drive up safety, which is obviously paramount and the top priority for all of our customers. Now, as we've been developing C3 AI Reliability over the years, we've sought to deliver improvements across several key customer pain points. So we consistently hear from our key industrial organizations who have embarked on their digital transformation journey and have begun developing and experimenting with AI and experimenting with machine learning models that their big challenge is getting to operationalizing AI. So getting these models into production, into applications that their end users can view the insights and take action on them quickly. And that's really the core of what we're trying to provide with all of our applications. And what you'll see with reliability is how we're providing that information. The second thing that we commonly hear is about unifying data and unifying workflows. So we have disparate systems across our plants, across our different historians, our sensor databases, our asset databases, and we have trouble and challenges bringing that data together. So what we're doing with our platform and with the reliability application data model is providing a unified image upon which we can build these machine learning AI models and deliver insights to the application. We also hear consistently that it's difficult and challenging sometimes to get real-time insights or near real-time insights. And what we're doing is accelerating the analysis of your asset health risk by leveraging AI-based insights that can provide users with information about the underlying drivers of the model's risk assessment. So you think about things like, what do we expect my measurement values to be today, my process variables, whether that be vibration or temperature or pressure. Through the interpretability of the models, we're allowing these users to assess that risk in near real time, interpret and validate whether they agree with it, and then move forward with their workflow, whether that be creating a case or creating a work order. And finally, another thing that we consistently hear is about trying to embed domain expertise and AI expertise into the applications that they're using. So we're doing this with reliability, and we're excited, as you've heard throughout the day today, and you'll hear tomorrow, about the potential of generative AI and enterprise search to be able to codify a lot of this expertise, whether that's in maintenance documents or troubleshooting documents or maintenance manuals, where your experts who are getting their hands on the equipment are actually able to insert or enter the information they're finding. We can codify that, and we're excited about the possibilities of enterprise search and generative AI to then expose that within the application. So I also wanted to just say a few words about the key aspects of a typical C3 AI reliability deployment and engagement, and how we collaborate with our customer teams. And I think this will be a good segue into later in the discussion when we talk to Keith and Stephen. The C3 AI experience is highly collaborative. The application, although it is hardened and tested, and we're proud of how configurable and easy it is to deploy, we do spend a lot of time ensuring that all of our customers, regardless of what industry they're in or what asset they're trying to monitor, have the ability to configure and unify the data for them. So with data unification and a typical deployment, we only require a few pretty straightforward data sources that our customers have. So sensor data, measurements of how your asset is performing and how to monitor that operational performance. Context on that sensor data. So what is your asset hierarchy, or where do those sensors sit within your system? And maintenance and event logs. So this helps us understand and helps the models understand what does normal operation look like for this asset. So once we've unified that data, we then move on to another core piece of the application, which is applying AI and ML through pre-built yet configurable pipelines. So what that looks like for us is we're utilizing out-of-the-box anomaly detection models, or you have the ability to use your own models to use the data that's coming in, understand normal asset performance, and detect anomalies in that asset performance, or detect risks that might be occurring on your assets. Now, a third step in this process is our configurable user interface. What we typically do with our customers is we have an out-of-the-box UI with embedded workflows for reliability engineers, for operators, for data scientists to all collaborate together. But we know that each customer is unique and has their own unique needs, so we allow them to configure their specific workflows and potentially make some extensions if there are additional requirements that they have that are specific to their use case. A couple of the things I want to point out is the collaboration that we do with our customers as we are deploying. So throughout any deployment, we maintain close communication with our customer teams, our delivery teams, and the on-the-ground users. And we do this through regular feedback, regular checkpoints. And this is where we will hear things about additional extensions you might need or other use cases you're interested in. And one of the great powers of our C3 AI platform is once that data is unified, we can start to think about what are those additional use cases that you might want to implement, whether that's operating your process more efficiently now that you have an understanding of your asset health, or working on how I can produce faster or better or more efficiently. So that's where those new extensions and features come in. And when we talk about our roadmap, you'll see how we're incorporating that feedback from our customers. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about some new features. We're really excited about some of our recent feature development, including a more interactive asset detail page and supporting deep analysis of your asset health. We've also recently released an extension of our sensor health module. So for any customers that are familiar with sensor health, we've recently released an extension of that and an improvement in that in the concept of sensor protection loops. We've also worked on automated analysis of sensor values associated with failure modes, which are provided out of the box as a part of the application. So let me show what a couple of these look like. Now, when we talk about enhanced asset detail analysis, there are really a few types of different workflows that you can imagine for a reliability engineer. One might be I log into the application and I'm looking at all of my alerts and I'm assessing what are the underlying evidence package or activities or behaviors that are associated with that alert. Another might be that I want to just go in and understand my asset health today. So from this page, as you dig into the asset detail, you're going to be able to assess, in this example, my lube oil system. So I can see a lot of information about this asset. I can see any sensor health alerts for sensors linked to the asset. I can view where it's located, how that risk score has changed over time. I can also view, on the right, a set of quick actions. So this might get me into any workflow that I want to, based on what I'm seeing in the asset health detail screen. Maybe I want to create a case. I can do that directly from those quick actions. I also have a set of recommended action based on sensor health alerts or anything else that's been going on in this asset. We're really excited about the visualizations and the workflows that this provides so that anyone who is worried about a specific asset can go in and assess that health right away. Another recent feature that I mentioned was this extension of our sensor health module. So there are customers of ours that have concepts of critical protection loops. So when you think about this, what this is really doing is saying we have a really critical asset. It needs to be monitored with redundant sensors because we don't trust a single sensor and we don't want to take our asset down because a single sensor is measuring vibration or measuring vibration as going out of control when maybe it's just deviating, there's a sensor problem. So with protection loops, what we've done here is we've made it configurable for you to define the sensors that are in a protection loop. You can set the thresholds for high alerts, low alerts. You can also set and define the thresholds for sensor deviation so that the application will track and alert you when a sensor is deviating from the other sensors in the loop. So this is where you can define those parameters right here. And users can configure that directly in the application. The other thing that they could do is they'll get alerted to these protection loop alerts. So if a sensor is deviating or is violating a threshold and is looking different from the other sensors in the loop, I can click into that alert and I can see exactly what's going on. So here I'll see the thresholds that I've just defined. And when we scroll over this, you'll see how recently a sensor has crossed that threshold. And I'm being told right within the application that I've crossed my high threshold, I have a critical alert, but it's also deviating from the other sensors that are reading the same measurement. So it's likely that that's a sensor problem rather than an asset health problem. And the last feature I want to show here is supporting more intuitive alert analysis. So I was talking about alert analysis versus asset health analysis. What we do now is we provide automatic plotting of the features associated with your failure modes. So the way you can think about this is the model is telling me my expected sensor values versus my actual sensor values. And some of those deviations in expected versus actual are contributing to a specific failure mode. It's telling me, how do I expect this asset to fail based on those differences? That also leads to recommended actions. What we're providing now within the application is the ability to, in a click of a button, see which failure modes and which sensors are associated with those failure modes. So when I scroll down in this alert detail page, I'll see the contributing features, I'll see the information about those features, but then I'll also see the failure modes, that this is likely a lube oil leak, or this is likely a problem with my drain pluggage. When I click plot features for the lube oil leak, there's gonna be a specific sensor that is plotted below that is associated with that failure mode. You can see that that automatically happens. So this gives me much faster, at my fingertips, information about this failure mode and lets me determine, do I think that's a valid issue? Do I truly think that's what's happening based on what I'm seeing from the measurement data? And if so, then I can get into my normal workflows. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is where we're going next. So as I said, these are just some of the many features that we've developed recently and that we've released to our customers as we continue to innovate and drive value with them. As we look ahead to some of the new innovations upcoming on our roadmap, we're going to continue obviously to focus on accelerated time to value, end user configuration. Those are paramount and North Star metrics for us at all times. We're also going to focus on being able to make it more configurable, define your asset hierarchy, define those sensors that are important for the operation of your specific asset that you want to monitor. Some additional features that we're working on are expanded user workflows. So for anyone who has seen our model ops module, this allows you to view all the models that are either live or champion or challenger models. You can retrain them, you can deploy them, you can see the feedback that's occurred on each model. We're going to expand the configuration of modeling within the application UI. So I can set up my data set, I can prep that data set exactly for what I want to model it for, and then I can do full configurability within the UI. So that we're really excited about because that helps us achieve more scalability with our customers who, as they try to go with a global scale across assets, more users are going to be able to set up these models and understand how to configure them and deploy them. The other thing that we're obviously super excited about, and you're going to keep hearing about it, I appreciate you guys being here today because the generative AI one breakout session is also going on at the same time. I mentioned it before, enterprise search. You can imagine alert summaries, work order summaries, case summaries being a part of our generative AI features. But I'm really excited about the ability to do document search. So there's a lot of native expert information in these documents that everyone has, troubleshooting documents, maintenance logs, maintenance manuals. And you can imagine those failure modes that we were just showing being generated by a search or an automatic search that's created by the alert signature. So this goes and scans those documents and says, when my inlet pressure is higher than expected, my documents tell me that that is likely this type of problem. And we can cite and source that for the end users to be able to validate that as a part of their alert triage. So super excited about that and super excited to show that to you guys soon and have that released to our customers soon. Okay, so that's our product update. I'm gonna ask Keith and Steven to come join me on the stage now. Keith and Steven will help kind of define and paint a picture for you guys of what a typical customer deployment looks like when you start working with these experts.
How are we doing with time?
I think we're okay.
So, hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
I know we're behind in general today, but I think we've probably got about 15 minutes.
Okay.
15 or 20 minutes.
Hello, Uma.
You guys on?
Testing. Great.
All right. I'm really excited to have these guys up here. Do you guys want to just start by introducing yourself and talking about your role here at C3?
Sure. So I'm Keith Wiseman. I'm in our industry solutions group. So that's a team filled of subject matter experts like Steven, like Tim Holton here. We're probably about 12 people in size, I would guess. Global people in Houston, Chicago, New York, Dubai, Redwood City, California, and New Orleans. Thank you.
Keith kind of just said, my name's Stephen Warner, so I'm based out of Houston as one of the industry oil and gas SMEs. I'll just add a little bit on top of that. Specifically, we support, in a lot of cases, the reliability suite, but also the sustainability suite and other types of custom applications beyond oil and gas, going through all types of manufacturing. So we have a large range of experiences on our team.
Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being up here. I think you guys bring a really unique perspective. and really are the key to making our customers successful. So I mentioned in one of the slides some of the customer pain points that I think we've all seen. I'm interested in what you guys think. What are some of the top pain points that you've heard from customers lately?
Yes, sir.
Either way. Well, I'm talking now. So, I mean, common pain point is, customers using, single variable threshold alarms to do their monitoring, right? And they miss a lot of things as a result, and they're noisy, right? That's a very common thing for us to walk into. I've had customers who have invested heavily in building their own rules-based monitoring systems too, right? And that turns into a big mess for them when they have to maintain those rules over time, right? You end up hiring a team of software developers just to run and maintain those rules-based systems.
Anything you would add, Stephen?
Yeah, a few things. One, I think it's getting started. Like that's the first thing that we start with. What use case would you like to go through? But it's where should we start? We have these cool applications, these cool features. What should we go do it on? And so what we always say is what we recommend is we start with one of two things: either highly complex assets, maybe like a gas turbine, compressors, things of that nature, or we start something that's extremely high volume, so control valves, PSVs, and things like that we can really scale quickly. The other one is when you think about managing asset risk, there's a lot of different systems that people have to jump in and out of in order to do so. And so what we've done here is created something where you can understand your risk. You receive these multivariate alerts that help direct your engineers and resources to know what to go look at. We provide the tools to allow you to collaborate on that as a group, all within the application. And then you can take the investigation and the collaboration and output that to a work management system such as work orders and connect that to something like SAP. So the goal is this is the one-stop shop where you can do all of your work when it comes to managing your asset risk.
Tool overload is an extremely common problem. Brian back there he's got Seek, he's got SharePoint, he's got Bentley, Nevada. There's probably 10 tools that we're looking to either lay down completely or unify and expose all through the reliability application.
Yeah, but I think that's an important point that there are different strategies that different customers want to employ as it comes to the different models that they already have in place, the different alerting and analysis systems they already have in place. And the flexibility of our solution allows us to say, if the strategy you want is to unify all of that into a single application, we'll help you with that, and C3 will be kind of your central hub for alerting and model management, as well as the workflow part of it. Or if there are certain things that you want to retire, and so now you want to basically transfer that model onto the C3 platform and manage it there, that's also something that we see very often with our customers. Another question I would ask is just about the collaboration between your team and the customers. So I was mentioning before that a deployment is typically a highly collaborative process. I think we're very proud of the fact that we've reduced our implementation time down to 6 to 8 weeks to models actually delivering good predictions from the time we get data until that point in time. What do you guys do to, one, collaborate with customers, and two, make sure you're getting feedback from them that will be helpful to making sure the solution is going to make them successful?
What do? We go see them, right? We spend time with them. We go to the building. We invest a lot of time with the customer. That's the first thing that we do. We do a lot of co-design work. We use the same application, for steam crackers. We also use it for offshore production platforms. We use it for valves. We use it in refineries. We use it everywhere. And because of that flexibility and that diversity, we do need to collaborate and work through designs, right? The way that you roll up the information to support a offshore production business unit might be different from the way that you roll up the way you would monitor 180 steam cracking furnaces.
Yeah, and I'll add that when we do go visit or when we're having our calls, we spend a lot of time informing the customer and their SMEs, what is it that we're doing? We can't just hand something over at the end and say, hey, here you go and have fun, right? We have several conversations, especially when it comes to how we design our models. We have a reason for the way that we do a lot of things based on the experiences we have. And so we explain that very clearly. This is why this model looks like this. These are the features that we believe are important to this model based on our experience. And so we have those very open conversations in order to make sure that there's clarity on both sides, because the tool is going to be used. We're not going to be the ones at the end of the day using the tool every single day. The customer needs to understand the reasons for why we do the things that we do. And I'll just keep going real quick, is that we're very open to feedback on that as well. We recognize that they're the ones most familiar with the equipment right there at their site. If there's recommendations on any other types of features, certain calculations, KPIs that they want to bring into the models, we are very happy to incorporate those. We can iterate on a model within hours and then show them, hey, here's the results we just talked about. Do you like these results, or do you like the ones that we showed you before? And then we can go from there.
I just thought of something else when you were talking, Stephen. One thing we do is bring subject matter experts to the table. So we're pretty light touch on customers' engineering resources and their own internal subject matter experts. We interact with them, of course, but we do a lot of the heavy lifting on that because we have people who've done the job.
Yeah, and I think that's by design. We want to make the lift on the customer side as little as possible, but we also know that we have customers who have models that they've been working on over time that they want to incorporate, and they have that subject matter expertise as well. So all the things Stephen was talking about really help. What I see as really positive about that relationship is it helps reduce the change management. We're not turning an application on one day and saying, okay, now incorporate this into your process. We're providing outputs that look very much like your current process, but we're also bringing you along on that journey to make sure the change management is very seamless, which I think is a pretty rare thing that I've seen you guys do really well. Another question I'm interested in is different monitoring and maintenance strategies, different techniques that different customers have for monitoring many pieces of equipment using our application. So what types of different monitoring strategies have you seen, and how do you see us supporting those different types of strategies that might look very different from one customer to the next? Yeah, Stephen?
Yeah, so there's different strategies that our experience has led to with how our customers want to deploy the application and who they want the primary users to be. One of which would be local resources, right? The manufacturing engineers, whether it be at a chemical plant or refinery, up on the offshore platform, or maybe in the paper mill. That's one of the most obvious ways that you can use our application. Another is to use maybe like a technology center. So what our application does is basically increase the knowledge of the user and the skill and ability of that user. So if you wanted to have like a centralized technology center be the one monitoring the application, triaging those alerts then to the sites, helping that being that first filter step. That's another way that you can do it. And then also using, like a third-party resource. Like if you already have an existing third party that monitors some of your critical machinery, we have customers that have also used those, input our application on top of that, and then they use our application to help advance their analysis on their equipment that they've already been doing.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
The big customers that really go big with reliability tend to set up some sort of centralized monitoring capability, either in-house or outsource that to a third party, as Steve had mentioned. What enables that, though, is the collaborative capabilities built into the application, right? The case management workflows and just all the investment that we've put into doing that. So you can't have a team in Kuala Lumpur take the first pass of analyzing, predicted failures or asset risk. They can do an initial analysis, route that off to the asset team and the business unit, and kind of work back and forth that way.
Yep. So a couple more questions, and we can open up to the audience. I think I mentioned a few times when we approach customers, we often find that they already have some sort of models in place, or they've already done some thinking and some modeling of certain things that are highly related to our reliability risk score and risk alerting that we're providing them. Maybe without giving away too much, could you guys talk a little bit about how you've seen us extend the application to incorporate different types of monitoring or analysis that customers find important for their use case?
Yeah, I mean, so the base capability, out of the box, the bread and butter of the application is anomaly detection. We like to deploy that across everything, but most customers have already built some models, as you say, right, that do specialty things. We also build those models that do specialty things. The data is effectively all the same, right? So once we've consumed all the data in the plant, put anomaly detection on that, it's relatively easy for us to build an optimization model, for example, or to build something that does some sort of specialty prediction on. Let Stephen talk about the steam cracking case, but like coking prediction rates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and once we bring all that data in, we also enable, for example, some of our platform customers that already have many of these great ideas, they just haven't had a means maybe to deploy it or to do it. So we bring all the data in. We do, whether it's base reliability or the control valves application, we've had customers that say, hey, we've been meaning to do something to extend something on top of control valves and apply, an additional modeling and logic layer on top of that to help recommend very specific failure modes for these control valves. And so I think that just speaks to not only the strength of the base app, but also the ability to be flexible and extend on top of that. And then, for those that are platform customers and are already working on the application, whether it's integrating their existing models or extending on top of that, they have the ability to go do that.
Yep, that's super helpful. And I think, everything we're doing in the application is always about configurability and being able to address these additional use cases. But then also, if you think about process optimization and production optimization, we were mentioning before, once you have your asset health assessment under control, then a natural next step is how do I make this more efficient? And what does that process optimization look like? So coupling it with additional applications is also something that we see quite often. Okay, this is probably my hardest hitting question, and then we'll open it up. I think you guys have really unique jobs at C3 AI, from technical to working with customers to understanding the domain really well. What do you find kind of most interesting or most rewarding about your job or your time working with customers?
I guess the answer in the back of the book is to say something about watching customers make a ton of money and change the way they operate. But the truth for me is just is working with the people, right? Meeting people that and working with people on the customer side that actually care about this stuff. We don't end up working with customers that don't do anything, right? They're not here. They're not people we engage with. So the people we engage with are people that want to achieve things and want to change the way they work, and they're just a lot of fun to work with.
Anything you would add, Stephen?
Yeah, I think it's once you you have all these conversations, and it's a process, right? We talk about the use cases and we agree on a use case. And then we start talking about creating a digital twin in the application, and we go through a lot of detailed discussions on what we want to get out of it. And then at the end, when you finally deploy and it's gone live and you're starting to receive alerts and you're able to see it all kind of all come together as in a bigger picture, I think that's really rewarding to kind of for both sides, because a successful deployment and then also customer getting the solution that they've been looking for. It's a fun experience to really feel that, and it's rewarding, I think, for both.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay. Any questions from the audience? We'd love to hear what you guys are curious about, if any of this is resonating with you and you want to hear more from our experts or from me. I can try to pretend to be one. Any questions from the audience? Yeah, right here.
So with the whole generative AI being kind of a big buzz right now, if you made like reliability suites, like models and modeling, will you think you can get a lot of good generative AI results off that same, or do you need to connect more points of like contact in our data systems to get better results?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think what I'm excited about is data we either already have or we know is really easily accessible within the organization. So that's why I'm mentioning things like maintenance manuals, equipment manuals, troubleshooting documents, or maintenance logs that might be captured in free-form text. A lot of that we're already integrating, but I think we might have a larger emphasis on some of that documentation, because it's really a prime use case for us to be able to say, you might have thousands of pages of documentation. You might have someone who's been working in this plan on this system for 20 years. When they see something going wrong, they instantly know what it is. But that person who's been on the job for 6 months, rather than them hoping that they can pick up on that quickly or having them have to understand these thousands of pages of documentation, enterprise search and generative AI could do a lot of that retrieval for them and give them a nice summarized answer that then they can start to use as additional insights. So I think that's one of the first use cases we were thinking about, and I don't think it would require any more data than we're currently using. It would just potentially be a little more emphasis on make sure we get the documentation that you have in-house that is specific to this piece of equipment, and then if it's something that's a really well-known piece of equipment that has external documentation from the manufacturer, that could be something else we would incorporate as an additional one.
Yeah, one of the key elements on any successful deployment is value realization. What would be your value realization approach strategy, calculation, implementation?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at this, and maybe you guys can talk about some real-world examples. I think value is what we lead with. Stephen mentioned, what are your most complex assets? The reason for that is that's generally your most critical, your most instrumented, and the ones you're going to get the most value out of if you can prevent downtime, prevent unplanned issues with. So when we think about value, if I went back to that slide from earlier, we're thinking about 3 or 4 levers. So reducing unplanned downtime, unplanned downtime being typically much more expensive than planned maintenance. Increasing uptime, so I'm increasing production, so I'm pulling that lever of I'm producing more, therefore I'm generating more revenue. And then reducing maintenance costs, which is similar to the first one. Those are kind of where we're seeing the most value, and if we said, here's a value calculator, those would be the variables within the equation. I do think it is a balancing act when we work with customers, though, in terms of where we start. Because there is, on one end of the spectrum, start with what's going to be easiest, fastest to deploy, quickest to demonstrate how to get something up and running on the platform and on the application. And on the other side, there's maybe the most complicated and most high value system. And so with all of our customers, that's a conversation we have up front, is where's that nice middle ground where you're going to see quickly how we do this and how it affects your business and your operations, but it's going to be a high value asset so that you have the ROI on that effort to organizationally say this is driving value for us.
Yeah, and real quick, I'll add on that. So I would call those like the very tangible, if you wanted to calculate the value, those 4 or 5 things. There's also a component of just transforming that the way you do work, and there's an efficiency that comes with that. If a manufacturing engineer only needs to go into the application to do their work, there's efficiencies associated with that. This is the tool that they log into before their morning meeting. This is the tool that they use to trend all their sensors. This is the tool that they use to input work notifications. There's just inherent efficiencies that are add-ons to that of just general digital transformation of the way that we do work in the future.
Great. Thanks, guys. We did have a couple more questions. I heard cheering on the other side, so we might be out of time, but maybe we do one more question.
After this one, we can cheer louder.
Yeah, and we will be around afterwards, so if anyone has any questions, we can talk offline.
What about for customer applications where you don't actually have the device under review, sensor, like say for instance, you use reliability center maintenance techniques? How many customers do you have using non-sensor-based prediction algorithms or detection?
Yeah, we have several customers that, in addition to the reliability risk, so some of what they were talking about, they have analytics or models that are monitoring different things that they want alongside. I would say almost every customer we have now has some additional model next to the reliability risk. And so that might mean I only have this one measurement instrumented on that piece of equipment rather than the 10 sensors you would want for a full reliability risk score. But with that one measurement, I can get some interesting analytics out of it. If you don't have any...
You mean like lube oil analysis or something? Or something that's on paper? They do. Okay.
Yeah.
Like the uptime on it, essentially?
We
Yeah.
have done, I'll just chime in with, for example, the U.S. Air Force and those aircraft platforms we got this morning. Those were not instrumented aircraft. And so in those cases, we'll take basically a reliability center maintenance, like plus approach, where we'll also pull in the maintenance logs, the pilot record, any kind of written, it has to be digitized for us to look at, but any kind of written comment, and then we can apply natural language processing and get some insight from that written text as well.
Is that the only?
That's the only customer can give this kind of more mean time between failure plus natural language processing type approach.
With zero sensors, right? We definitely, we have many where maybe some of the core readings aren't there, but you have other sensors, and then we can use a virtual sensor approach as well. Okay, Lisa, you're gonna wrap us up?
Yes. Sorry.
Thanks to Stephen and Keith. I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. It was really insightful.
You guys could stay.
We'll get out of your way.
And so just a really quick wrap-up items. So thank you all again for joining the breakout session. I do want to point out that we have several customers speaking tomorrow, including the first keynote with Georgia Pacific executives, and we have several industry breakouts, including with Shell and Roche and Baker Hughes, where you can hear more about the reliability deployment. And if you have any feedback to share with us, please feel free to do so through the application. Otherwise, we hope to see you at the solution booth. Thank you all again.
Thank you.